Well, let me take my seat. Oh.
You're gonna talk to them? No. Oh my God. I'll talk to Adam too. Adam knows this way. Say he'll be here shortly. Okay. It looks like the first one we did. Are we first one? Don't worry, I'm out of here. No, you're good, man. You're great.
I don't need to put this. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Order. Welcome to the October 2025 City of York Zoning Hearing Board meeting. You will be before the Planning Commission prior to today, and that is what brought you now before us. We take the recommendations into consideration, but our vote is of our own decision upon what is presented here to the zoning board. Please silence your telephones or turn them off. You will have the opportunity to come to the mic and speak. We ask that you speak clearly. When you do present to the mic, please state your name and spell it so our stenographer can obtain that information. We also ask that you speak one at a time. You will have your opportunity to speak, but we ask that you respect the person who's at the mic. It's not stenography needs to capture everything that everyone is saying. Therefore, she can only do it by hearing one person at a time. I would ask, well, introduce our board. First to my right, your left is Ray Klein, Adam Nugent, Franklin Williams, my vice, Nick Holman, and I'm Sandy Jenkins. To my left is our solicitor, Andy Harold, and our stenographer, Karen Brown. I would like for anyone who plans to speak or testify, if you could please stand and raise your dominant hand that I can swear you in. Even if you think that you may speak tonight, we ask that you stand. I ask that you raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you? If so, please respond by saying, I do.
I do.
Let the record show you can stand and have been sworn in. Sir, solicitor, when you're ready, could you swear in first one?
The first case number this evening is case 27-2025-Z-V. The applicant is Monique Dowery, sorry if I mispronounced that, of 1487 Wayne Avenue, York, Pennsylvania. The owner of the subject property is Leon Zuckerman at 466 West Market Street. The subject property is located at 476 West Market Street, which addresses in the UN2 zoning district of the city of York. Applicant seeks a variance to permit a conversion from a single-family dwelling into an apartment combined with commercial. The record for the board this evening consists of the application itself, from what I can see from the electronic material. If there was anything else, I apologize. Take that off the record. The case was considered by the City of York Planning Commission on Monday, October 13th, 2025. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variance.
Well, me. Good evening. Thank you for the time to meet with you this evening. This property is located in.
State your name, please.
Sorry about that. My name is Michael Dowry. Monique is my sister, and jointly we are approaching this project. This property is in Doctors Row, and probably at one time it served as a doctor's office on the lower level with a residence up above. And its current condition and zoning, it's zoned as single family. We would like to return it to the state of commercial use on the first floor and residential above. There's also, beyond the storefront, first 2 rooms and a half bath, there's enough square footage in the back of that to create an efficiency or smaller apartment there on the first floor. But our primary issue is returning it to commercial, zoned properly for commercial use. Dowry is Dowyeary.
And I'm sorry about mispronouncing.
No, it's all good. I've heard it all.
As the property is now, is there separate utilities?
Yes, there are separate utilities along with 10 parking spaces in the rear. It can accommodate the mixed use.
Good to see you.
Good evening, sir. Yes.
It wasn't totally clear to me, do you envision 2 residential units or 1? Someplace in the material it's indicated 1, and then elsewhere I think it indicated 2.
I'm envisioning a 2-bedroom unit on the second and third floor, and a 1-bedroom efficiency on the back half of the first floor. So the commercial use would be just the first 2 rooms and a half bath at the front of the unit, and then a smaller apartment behind that.
Is there a 3rd floor?
It's small. It's really just the second floor. The third could be used for storage. But it's not adequate space to put a full bedroom up there.
What is usually done is that the 3rd floor, and most buildings built between 1870 and 1920 followed the same basic pattern. Large first and second floor and much smaller 3rd floor towards the front. And what is often done is the first floor is a nice 1-bedroom apartment, and then the second floor that is joined with the smaller 3rd floor, and with the 2, it's a nice apartment number 2 up there. But so you envision using the major front part of the first floor for your business?
That's correct. The tax service, accounting and tax service, a very small operation. I used to be at 306 West Market, but things have changed. The career has taken some turns over the years, but I'd like to get the commercial activity literally out of my home and back into a commercial unit.
So just to confirm, you're going to be a commercial user?
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to own the place also?
Yes. And use the efficiency on the back half of the first floor.
Ah, okay. For you personally, or?
Yes.
Okay. It'll be there.
But you don't plan to live there?
No, my wife won't allow that, but with the 9 to 5 and the tax season, I envision some long nights, and, with my sister, her kids, as we need to, we would stay in the back, or at least have access to a full shower, and be able to freshen up.
Board members, any other questions?
Any other questions?
No.
I would just like to observe that one of my jobs here is a historian, and it's called Doctor's Row because at one time, probably in the 1950s or early 60s, there were 40 doctors, dentists' offices, a physical therapy service, and 3 pharmacies. So the 400, 500, and 600 blocks of West Market Street were really York's Medical Center, or one of them. But single practitioners gave way to group practices, and they wanted more space. And my next door neighbor was one of the last practicing. He was a podiatrist, and I think he was probably the last one who still lived there into a nice long retirement. So that's why they call it Doctor's Row. I wasn't sure everybody would know that. Thank you. And I would be happy to make a motion if no one else has questions.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on this case? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. In the case of application number 27-2025-Z-V regarding the property at 476 West Market Street, I move to approve a variance to allow an apartment combined with commercial use as defined in section 1304.01-1.03.001 for the property at 476 West Market Street.
I second. It has been moved by
Williams.
Franklin and seconded by myself, Sina. Calling for the vote, Blade,
Aye.
Nick, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
I'll be Adam today. Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and Sina, aye.
Welcome back to the neighborhood.
Congratulations.
appreciate it.
Okay, we'll keep moving.
All right, Madam Chairman, the representative for the next case is here, but I believe that he would like to defer until the end based on a traffic issue that his
Yeah,
firm is having.
our owner, our project owner developer is on his way. He's stuck in traffic coming from Lancaster, so we would like to skip our spot and go to third.
Okay, don't have a problem with that.
By the end of the night, you might regret that.
All right, then,
I did not, no. Yeah.
Sir Solicitor, will you please read in the next case?
the next case is case number 29-2025-Z-V. The applicant is Mustafa Jamison on behalf of Push LLC, having an address of 373 West Market Street, York, Pennsylvania 17404. Subject property is located at 373 West Market Street, which address is located in the CBD district of the city of York. Applicant seeks variances to permit the subject property to be used as a group home with 18 occupants. The record before the board this evening consists of the following: the application itself, the deed to the subject property, 4 pages of floor plans of the subject property, an aerial photo of the property, the York County assessment data of the property, 5 pages of photos of the subject property, and 2 pages of resident procedures for the proposed group home. The case was considered by the City of York Planning Commission on Monday, October 13th, 2025. The Commission recommends approval of the requested variances subject to the condition that upon a change in ownership, the variance would expire. Of course, we've had that discussion here in the past. You know my position on that, but I will leave it at that.
Good evening. Thank you so much. My name is Courtney Beekler. That's Buechler. I'm with CGA Law Firm, and I'm here on behalf of Mr. Jameson of People Under Safe Housing in York. This LLC will be commonly referred to throughout this proceeding tonight as PUSH. PUSH is here with an application for 2 variances. One is for a use variance as a group home, and the second is to be permitted to house up to 18 residents. Tonight you'll hear about the property itself, as well as work performed and standards upheld on the premises in operating as a recovery center. To lay some groundwork here, the property is a 3-story multifamily building. No construction has been done or will need to be done in order to convert the property to operate within the confines of this request. So in consideration of the Planning Commission's recommendation that it be converted back to a multifamily facility upon resale, that is entirely feasible. PUSH has been working to obtain this operating standard since 2021. They did appear before the Planning Commission and Zoning Hearing Board at that time, and they received very specific guidance from this very board. So since 2021, they have worked to obtain the required DDAP licensure. City of York occupancy permits have been issued, and the results of which bring us for this application before you to be able to finalize the ability to operate again as a group home for up to 18 residents. At this time, I'm going to bring forward Ms. Carmela, and she will introduce herself.
Good evening. My name is Carmela DeSoma, and I am the Assistant Director of Operations for the Lancaster York Harrisburg Harm Reduction Project. I also serve as the provider for state opioid response funding program for York, Adams, Cumberland, and Perry. So I share an office space with PUSH located on the ground floor, where I work directly with residents and local partners to connect individuals in recovery with safe housing, employment opportunities, and essential community resources. My role focuses on bridging the gap between treatment and sustainable recovery, ensuring that people not only have a roof over their heads, but also the tools, structure, and support to rebuild their lives. I want to begin by clarifying that the home at 373 West Market Street is a DDAP licensed recovery residence operating in full compliance with our occupancy permits, and we are applying for the 2 variances to be able to operate specifically as a group home with up to 18 people. Back in 2021, Mr. Jameson first appeared before the board. He was advised to obtain proper licensure and strengthen program structure. He followed every recommendation, achieved DDAP certification, implemented 24-hour staffing, and ensured compliances with these directed requirements. We are here today as proof of that progress. The program provides 24-hour supervision through trained family recovery support specialists employed by people under safe housing. We enforce strict structure and accountability. Residents have curfews. They must sign in, sign out, participate in weekly meetings and treatment, and follow every rule set by the program. One of the criteria for the variance request is suitability, which includes not only the design of the property, but also the anticipated activity and population served and adequacy of space and traffic generated. This home sits within walking distance of employment opportunities, public transportation, healthcare, and community resources. For individuals in early recovery, proximity to those supports often determines whether they continue progressing or fall back into homelessness. Importantly, no additional traffic will be created as the residents do not have vehicles. There is no loitering permitted outside the property. We maintain quiet hours, and any violation results in immediate corrective action. The program is designed to provide stability, not chaos. It helps people rebuild responsibility within a safe and supervised environment. You also saw that progress reflected in the community. During the Planning Commission meeting, there was only support and no opposing public comment. That speaks volumes about the difference this program is making in both the neighborhood and the city as a whole. And the same commitment to stability extends to how we support our residents. We would also like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the members of the public who are here tonight to support this. We hope this tangible support carries significant weight as the board considers the broader impact on the neighborhood we are seeking these variances. York continues to face a serious housing crisis, and addiction remains a real challenge for many families. People in recovery are our neighbors, our sons, our daughters, and parents. They deserve the same opportunity to live safely, rebuild, and contribute to our community. Denying this variance would remove a stable, supervised, and compliant home that the board itself have helped guide into existence. It would create hardship for people who are actively doing the work to change their lives. For these reasons, we respectfully ask that the variances be granted, that people under safe housing can continue providing structured, safe, and compliant housing exactly as the city of York has guided us to do. Thank you.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Of course, Disoma, D-I-S-O-M-M-A.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm sorry to, D-I-S-S-O-M-A?
D-I-S-O-M-M-A.
Got it.
I know, it's a tough one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I do not mean to interrupt the presentation, Attorney Beekler, but I do have a question, and thank you, Ms. DeSoma, for raising this actually, or reminding me. As I was looking through the application, I note that the application is for a special exception. And I'm just curious how this was advertised.
Thank you. I believe you are right. It should be an application for a special exception to be qualified as a group home, and then a variance for the 18 personnel.
Yes. Okay, so it's a use permitted by special exception in the CBD. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you.
And how was it? So I know that on the variance review, it mentioned variance. Do you know? I mean, I don't think it. Let me actually ask the applicant. Attorney Beekler, do you have any issue with moving forward regardless of how it was advertised?
We do not. We would prefer that regardless of the advertisement, we move forward in what you deem to be accurate.
Okay. I mean, I think that the advertising was likely sufficient. There may have been a slight flaw in the advertising, but again, I would suggest that the public has sufficient knowledge of what's being considered. So as long as you're good with it, I'm good with it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks. Sorry about that. Please proceed.
So just to clarify, the special exception is for the group home, or is it for 18 residents?
The special exception, and I was pulling up the city ordinance. Monty, correct me if I'm wrong. The use is permitted by special exception in the zoning district in which it is located, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So the variance should be for the number of people because I think it's over eight.
Yeah. So the special exception is for the use. They're seeking the variance to permit more than would ordinarily be permitted.
With our opening comments out of the way, we would appreciate any additional questions from the board at this time.
board members?
First question is, why 18?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question. Their DDAP licensure allows for up to 20, but with DDAP, there are certain provisions of space, storage. While their space would allow for up to 20, they feel that it's in the best interest of the residents, that they're not crammed in, that these are accommodations that are respectful and mindful of people's space. So 18 allows them on their 3 floors to have it broken down as 4 on the first floor, 7 on the second, and 7 on the third. To add 20 would be allowable by DDAP, but again, they're trying to create something that isn't going to turn into a problem by being, a space that people don't respect.
So it's already a recovery home at this time?
It is operating under the DDAP licensure, but it is within the confines of the occupancy permit. They do not have 18 people at this time.
How many do they have at this time?
Their occupancy permit allows for up to 15, but it fluctuates. So I don't know about at this very present moment.
Thank you.
But currently 15 folks can be housed and have been housed over the last several,
That's
however long. Okay.
Yeah.
Looking at the pictures, it looks like there's 18 beds, or, I'm sorry, 8 beds is what we both counted, right? I think.
Yeah.
So,
That was
I don't know if that's
pictures.
accurate as of right now. but
I would like to bring up Mr. Jamison to talk through some of those specifics on the floor plans then. Thank you.
You said it was current, you said it, how many beds you said it was? I'm sorry, my name is
please
Mustafa
tell us.
Jamison.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
my name is Mustafa Jamison. How y'all doing?
Good.
You said how many beds you say you counted?
8,
From
just
your
quick, from your
pictures.
pictures, that's
From
all.
your
I mean,
pictures, I
that's,
counted.
No, it's actually 3 beds in the first room, 2 beds in the second room. It's 3 bedrooms on each floor. So the first room will have, which is a larger room, would have 3 bedrooms. The smaller rooms will have 2 beds, and then the last bedroom will have 2 beds.
okay.
So and that's on each floor is designed like that.
Okay.
Okay. So you didn't take pictures of all of them?
No, I took pictures of all of them. Actually, I did.
Oh.
Let me see. So if you look on the 3rd floor plan, the front room, you see a line. You see 1, 2, 3 beds, in which I had to draw out for.
Yeah, the plan, I think we all understand. So that wasn't the issue. I was just curious how many people were there right now. based
If I
on
may,
the
just to
pictures.
alleviate some confusion, just so we're on the same page, how many pages of photos do you have available in your packet to reference?
We have 3.
Okay, you should have 5 pages.
Okay.
So, Attorney Harold, I can bring up the others and you guys can see what we believe to be our,
I have 5 in mind.
Oh.
That's where I was counting the beds,
okay.
and I only counted 8.
No, wait a second. I'm missing 2 pages here. I do have 5. Correction. Sorry, I got stuck in the other.
Can you tell me which floor? First,
So on the first floor, there's 2. Second floor, that makes 7. And the third floor, okay, there's 10. I see 10 now. With all 3 floors. Now this first one, this corner picture, is that a bedroom?
On which floor are you looking
It
at?
would be the first floor, the first picture up in the corner.
yes.
Yes, that's one bed.
Yes,
Oh, that's a
single man.
bedroom.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
single man.
To be honest with you, it really doesn't matter. We were just curious how many people were living there now, and we just counted up the beds of the pictures. So,
Well, no, I was actually counting it to make sure it's sufficient for 2 people.
it'll be redesigned on these floor plans of it,
Yeah,
because we're gonna have more people on the 2nd and 3rd floor
gotcha.
with all this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask again, so you have potentially up to 15 residents now. So no one foresees any issues with adding capacity for 3 more people?
Yeah, and I think the subject matter expert on that would be DDAP, because again, there has to be square footage requirements, storage requirements, the common space has to be a certain accommodations, and DDAP has already said, based on this structure, they can have 20.
Right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, board, is there any other questions? Is there anyone in the audience who has anything to say to this case? Or want to testify to this case? If you could step to the podium, state your name.
Hi, good evening. Dylan Bauer, 29 South Duke Street would be my office. I'm also a real estate owner in the city of York. I own property at 337 to 351 West Market, as well as 361 to 363 West Market. And I live around the corner from the subject property. The reason I wanted to speak up is I want to ask if there's, I know I probably can't get a response, but does the city have a limit on group homes? Does the city have a limit on rooming houses? I recognize, I've heard this before, I don't know if it's true, that York County or York City specifically has some of the highest per capita of transient housing, rooming houses, group homes in the entire state. Now, while I know Mustafa Eman, as I call him, and he's a good operator and a good man, I believe in him, I just wonder where we're going long term. These are very profitable endeavors. As a real estate developer who receives market rate rent, this is a 3, I think they're 1 bedroom. I don't know if they're 2. I walked it in 2019. There's 3 apartments, and there's a limit to how much money you can make as a private developer. There's a lot of money you can make in this business, and while I support him as an operator, the use in the whole, I wonder where we're headed as a city. Why, the people that come, I don't know where they come from. It's an unfortunate situation. It's a part of our ecosystem. I think we need it. It's a lot on 1 block. We have a lot of this on 1 block. Again, I go back to the operator, so I support him. But I am opposed to that continued use without a limit. I hope there's a control factor that we don't just continue to approve this and accept this throughout our city. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Please step to the podium.
Hi, Edward Mead, KNEE. My son and I, who's seated in the back, we own the largest provider of recovery housing in York, Central Pennsylvania Recovery Associates. 8 of those properties are within city limits that we pay taxes on. We live locally to the homes. The reason I wanted to speak is Mustafa has come to me and asked me to help him get DDAP licensed recently. Over the past couple years, Mustafa's also asked for additional education advice from me because he sees how our homes operate. He has since went to Harrisburg Area Community College, obtained his Certified Recovery Specialist certificate and training, continues to check in with me on a regular basis, sort of a mentorship type deal, and he runs a really good program. This is needed housing. It is a concentrated block. But I assure you, anyone you see outside are not Mustafa's folks. Mustafa runs a very clear, concise program of what he expects. Mustafa's residents are all from York County. They are not from out of the area. We have a substance use problem in York County, not York City. As I say, we operate 8 homes, very much like Mustafa's. The way we are different is we're in an allowable area that the city has said it's a permitted use, and our homes are hidden amongst everyone here's homes. You would never even know. It's a very controlled environment. He holds classes every day, and he has a very low recidivism rate. So I understand the concerns about multiple recovery housing in the city, multiple blocks of treatment centers, but I assure you, you will not see his folks or hear from his folks. They run a very tight program. I would put it up against mine, saying it may even be better. We're learning from each other, and I would just hope that you take that into consideration.
Is it Mr. Nee?
Yes, correct.
I'd actually like to hear your thoughts on Mr. Bauer's question. Where do you stand in terms of, I don't know, how are we doing in recovery house?
So actually, and I think, and I'm just gonna jump in terms of number question. I think Mr. Nia made a good point, and it is, if
I could
Mr.
tell you
Bauer
how
pressed
many.
us for an answer, I was gonna provide this answer. It is it is permitted by special exception. That means that the city has determined that it is a use that is permitted in this district. There are no limitations based on that, just like there would be no limitations on number of, single family or multifamily dwellings if it is a use that is permitted. I was gonna say something else and now I kind of forget. I was just gonna point out, a special exception, again, they have to meet those criteria about suitability, utilities, all of the criteria for the special exception. But the other thing that is important to remember is there are certain protections for this type of housing under federal law.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
So if I could clarify also, if I can speak again, sorry, I'm not familiar with this. It is not easy to get DDAP licensed as a home. When I say it's not easy, we spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get that home. It's way above what the city inspection is for a rental property.
Can I ask real quick, are there folks in York County and other places who are operating without a DDAP license?
They're infested in the city.
Understood.
And
Okay.
that's what you would call rooming homes, the one that Dylan, the type that Dylan's referring to.
I got you.
There are overdoses occurring. There are deaths occurring. There's just improper accounting procedures. We're monitored by DDAP, where once a year we go through a rigorous inspection of all of our records, the home, they flip mattresses, they go through every record that we have, and they pop up quarterly without telling you when for an inspection. And all of that information, if there would ever be a violation, is available online to the public. Yes, there are homes that cram people in the rooms. This is why when you asked the 18 question, I think I instilled in Mustafa, and I'm not trying to say I'm a genius on housing, but we try to operate the most comfortable homes that give people dignity and respect while they're gaining. And this isn't a temporary home. This is a 1 year to 2 year program. And it's just very rigorous to get through the DDAP process. But there are a lot that operate in York. Monty and his team, they're all over it. I promise you, when I see them in my career, I work as a director of an agency. When I see them there, I'm immediately reporting them to the city. The city's dealing with it.
So this is illegal use of a house like this if you don't have DDAP clearance?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we should absolutely be finding out if DDAP is part of the program's system, if they've gained that certification.
I'm sorry, it's not illegal to the effect that we could come here without DDAP licensing and ask for.
Right.
So before we are on the record saying.
In other words, we will see others who don't have DDAP who may want to open a group.
When you said illegal, I'm sorry, I'm not referring to city code because I'm not
Right,
versed
yeah.
in it, other than what our attorneys tell us. However, I will know the state will shut you down immediately.
Gotcha.
If you're operating without a DDAP license.
Gotcha.
And I'd have to go back and look at the actual, because we have group home, group quarters, and they all have slightly different definitions under the city code.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The group home definition for your ordinance speaks specifically to homes that afford for disabilities. Group quarters does not have the disability distinction.
Thank you. Any other questions up here from the board?
I think it was answered, but your residents what's the word?
The average length of
reside there
occupancy?
For 1 year to 2 years, and how do they, and this is the wrong word too, I was gonna say get released. Do they pass some kind of certification through? I'm just curious, it has nothing really to do with the application, but I'm just curious as a person, how does that process work?
So when they complete the program, and I feel like they complete the program, or they feel like they completed the program, I give them accountability certificate. And what she do is she help them find a home on their own. So we try to give them a process to get out, not just let them out in the street. So we set up a plan to find them housing outside of being in recovery. And that's how they make it out.
Yes.
Can someone-
Correct. So when we meet a client, when a client comes in and needs assistance, we go over an intake process with them. And during that intake process, we find out like what are the basic needs that this client has not met. We have clients that come in that have never owned, have never opened a bank account, that have never owned a credit card, that have not necessarily bad credit, but no credit. So we just kind of, I mean, it takes quite a few sessions, but we kind of figure out, okay, where can we start? Let's set small goals. We always start with small goals because, as you know, larger goals get very overwhelming. So, you know, sometimes usually we start with like, let's make sure, well, the first thing we start with is let's make sure we have therapy in place, your health is good, your outpatient is set up. So the number one thing is we have to make sure that you are living a life of sobriety and that comes first. Because if you're not sober and you're, you know, go back to active addiction, everything else that you're working for is gonna fall apart, right? So that's always our first step, is making sure that all those things are lined up. Then we start working on opening a bank account for them, with them. We take them, but they open up their own bank account, make sure they have employment. We do resume building with them, financial literacy with them. We run a lot of different little groups within the house for our residents, and individualized plans to make sure that when the client is ready, and you know, sometimes they're ready sooner, sometimes it takes longer, but that when they are ready, that they are financially stable, they're able to, you know, live a life of sobriety on their own, and that they're able to, you know, continue paying their rent, they're able to pay their bills, you know, pretty much live just like all of us, and that they're responsible, and that, of course, once again, that their recovery comes first. So it's a vigorous process, but we get there, and they're always very happy at the end. They're good.
We do follow up after the release, so
Oh, yeah.
to make sure that they're still living in a great way.
Yeah.
And they pay rent?
Yeah, so pretty much like no one is turned away for the lack of funds. So residents can contribute weekly or monthly when able, but no one is denied intake because they don't have the money. If they're coming out of treatment, if they're coming off the street, whatever that may be, we work with them. So we actively help our clients apply for assistance, secure employment, as we talked about. My program helps with, my program can help with the financial part of it. We help, we pay for identification cards, we can pay for birth certificates, you know, these little things that seem little to us, but they're big things for someone that's coming out of treatment that doesn't have any documentation, or someone that's previously homeless and, you know, they can't get a job because they don't have an ID. They can't, you know, get either a job because they don't have a social security card, they can't even get medical benefits. So these are things that we, you know, help them with, part of the whole financing part of it.
And I think I heard that there's 24-hour supervision?
There
So
is.
somebody's there all the time?
There is. So Mustafa's there pretty much 9 to 5 all week, and then he's on call. Then we have another employee, Megan, and Gabby, who's in the back here. Megan's actually working right now. Gabby's here, and they do a rotating schedule pretty much between second and third, like every other. But someone's there 24/7, and then I'm there. I don't know, sometimes 6:30, sometimes 7. I run 4 counties, so I'm there all the time. But yeah, somebody's always there.
One thing I just want to say, your brochure is wonderful. It was easy to look through. Pictures, place looks great. I mean, it's clean. It looks wonderful.
We love what we do. We want to be able to continue doing it for sure. And we've helped a lot of people.
Good.
Any other questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Find it. It's this one. Now, it's the special exception.
I don't have all of the info in front of me. You guys,
I got it.
you got it? Okay.
But I just want to triple check. The special exception.
It's a motion for a special exception to permit the use. And then would be a motion to approve the variance to permit up to 18.
Okay, so I got backwards.
Residents.
Okay, got it. And should we say the variance first?
I would do the special
The
exception.
special exception.
Special exception first, okay. Okay, any other comments? You want to continue? Okay.
I just want to mention a couple of things that, Dylan raised an interesting question. And it was brought up by two members of the Planning Commission at their meeting Monday evening. And I would say two people who have long impressed me with their thoughtfulness, and they disagreed on this, which made me think it was a worthwhile discussion, whether or not there's a tipping point where too much is concentrated in a 1 or 2 block area. And I don't know, I guess maybe that raises fears in some people's minds of that tragic neighborhood or location down in Philadelphia. But I'd point out that there's a real difference between a place where people suffering addiction are just congregating on sidewalks and streets and frequently found dead, and a difference between that, a huge difference between that and well-run, well-supervised facilities and programs. And I guess there's a reason why that particular area, the 400 and 500 blocks of, the 300 and 400 and 500 blocks. I talked earlier about our history of medical care. It doesn't upset me that that we're becoming known now for a different type of care. And a friend and I were talking about the possible effect on parking, and I doubt that the impact of the group home is going to be any more than it could have been, might have been from 3 residential apartments. There may be a few people working their way towards, for lack of a better word, emancipation, or going out on their own with jobs, and you may occasionally have people with a car. But so you would with residential apartments. So I'm ready to.
Okay. Okay, I recommend a correction. I move to approve a special exception for a group home, 6 to 8 occupants, to allow up to 18 as defined in section 1304.01, 1.04.001 at 373 West Market Street in the CBD zoning district. And this is for case number 2925Z-ZV.
So it would just, one simple amendment to that, it would be just a special exception to permit a group
home, okay.
And you can, you went through the section, so I'm fine with that. The
Okay.
next motion would be for.
It was the
variance
variance,
to permit up to
right,
18
okay.
feet.
Got it.
I second that. And it has been moved by Nick and second by Sina. We are calling for the vote. Blade,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and Sina, aye.
Secondly, move to approve a variance to allow up to 18 occupants as defined in section 1304.01, 1.04.001B at 373 West Market Street in the CBD zoning district.
Second?
All right.
I'm sorry, did you?
No, you're fine, you're fine. It has been moved to be approved by Nick and second by Franklin, calling for the vote. Blade,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
and Sina, aye.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Jamison, I just want to say to you, kudos to you for going back, revamping, getting it together, and presenting something very well.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the board.
You're welcome.
Oh, this.
It's nice to see a story like that. It's nice to see, nice to see that thing kind of happen, you know, a few years ago. No, I brought it all together.
Yeah, yeah. And might he make a little money? Sure. Is that the only reason he's doing it? I don't think so.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Y'all set?
Yes, we will just need to pause because I think there's 3 people that came in and if they can't speak in English this morning. Oh.
It's true.
There was their owner who was in traffic, and then I think there was 2 other people that came in that I'm not sure if they.
I'll put them wherever you guys want.
You want to take a quick break or anybody?
You want to take a break?
Yeah, I want to take a break.
No, we need a break.
We'll take a quick break.
Cool. All right.
Sorry, guys. The audience said moving over.
Say I, 1 hour weekend.
I know, exactly. They're in your. That's why we have all the stuff in there, but it's all good.
That's probably a good idea though for the future. We can see everything.
Been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Sina, did you say 5 or 10?
5 or 10.
Folks, here's some extras. Appreciate it. I know you have.
Just a couple minutes.
Just a couple minutes,
Yeah.
Mark.
There you go.
Coming at you, buddy.
What is it, a single sheet?
Yeah, it's 3 sheets. It's stapled together.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
This looks familiar, I think I have it.
folks were not here earlier when everybody was sworn, so, Madam Chairman, would you like to go ahead and swear anybody that's not?
Yes. Anyone who was not sworn, if you could stand up, if you plan on speaking or saying anything, in this last case, I would need you to stand. Could you raise your dominant hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you? If so, please respond by saying I do. Please note that the last two people who came in have not been sworn.
Thank you. The final case this evening is case number 28-2025-Z-B/SE. The applicant is David Jones on behalf of RB Development, Doctors Row 462, LLC. The owner of the subject property is the Redevelopment Authority of the City of York, having an address of 101 South George Street. The subject property is located at 462 and 464 West Market Street, which address is located in the UN2 zoning district of the City of York. Applicant seeks variances and a special exception to permit the conversion of an existing vacant building to a multi-family dwelling consisting of affordable housing for seniors. The record before the board consists of the following. The application itself, the July 31st letter from zoning officer Vermillion, an aerial view of the subject property, the deed to the subject property, an agreement and an amendment to the agreement, and I believe that was between the RDA and the applicant, and 32 pages of photos of the subject property. The case was considered by the City of York Planning Commission on Monday, October 13th, 2025. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the requested variances and special exception, subject to the condition that upon a change in ownership, any new owner would be required to reappear before the board. I'll say what I said in the last case. I've discussed that with this board in the past, and I'll just leave it at that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave Jones. I'm from Saxon and Stump here on behalf of RB Development. Just housekeeping, did you get the letter of support from the RDA in the record?
Yes, I
Okay.
apologize. We do, my recollection, have that. Why don't you provide a copy? Just, do you have an extra copy?
I have one, so.
That's, go ahead and hold on to it until the end. That's fine. You can, in fact, Mr. Jones, if you want, you can just send that to me after the fact. If
I think Mr. Nace is here on behalf of the RDA, and maybe we can
Yep.
speak to that anyway,
Yep.
so. And as a second item, I did speak with the solicitor today. We did request a variance in an amount of caution with regard to the impervious and open space requirements of this ordinance, of the ordinance. This property already covers 100% of the lot. It's 100% coverage of 0.171 acres. So my question to Mr. Harold was this not a non-conforming, pre-existing non-conforming use or condition? And he seemed to agree with me. So if with the board's blessing and acclamation, we can withdraw that variance request.
I'm in full agreement. I mean, Monty, does the city have any strong objection to that you're aware of?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay, I mean, members of the board, as Mr. Jones just said, you know, we have impervious surface requirements, or pervious surface requirements. This is already all impervious surface. I would suggest that it's a pre-existing nonconformity, and therefore it shouldn't necessarily be addressed here tonight.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, thank you. So with that, the first thing I'd like to do is call Mr. Blaine Stoddard to come up. Blaine is a representative of the owner, and I would like Blaine would like to make an introduction of the project.
Started all of it.
My name is Blaine, B-L-A-N-E, B as in boy, Stoddard, S-T-O-D-D, as in David, A-R-T.
And Blaine, if you'd just like to talk about your name, your business address, please.
My name is Blaine Stoddard, and along with my partner Ryan Sanders, we run a company called RB Development, which is dedicated to developing workforce and affordable housing.
And what is your role in this project?
I am the developer and the guarantor of the project.
And would you like to describe the overall project, or would we like to save that for the architect?
I would like it to save it for the architect, but I do want to thank the Hunters. We have our local partners with us, Ms. Becky Hunter, and I think Xavier Hunter are here. So we have a local partnership with the Hunters to develop this property.
And have you developed similar projects elsewhere?
Yes, we run a company called BFW Group, which is a construction project management company, and we help to raise money and develop projects. We're consultants. We're a consulting company, and we help other developers to develop affordable and workforce housing across the state. We're working in Allegheny County, Perry County, Dauphin County, now York County, Philadelphia County, Delaware County.
And these projects are of a similar nature to provide affordable housing and workforce housing.
Yes, sir.
Blaine, is there anything else you'd like to say in support of the project at this time?
We're excited about York. You're close to Maryland, and as you know, in Maryland, housing is unaffordable. Even in Harrisburg, where we just completed a project, housing is becoming unaffordable. And the market rate housing here and the affordable housing in York is still not out of price range for working people. And so York and York County are very desirable, and we're really excited to be here because we think that York, the city of York and York County are going to continue to grow and attract all kinds of families from surrounding areas, because it's relatively, although you may disagree with me, but compared to other counties, especially on the west side of the state and the east side of the state, the pricing here is still reasonable. Now it's going to go up, but there's an opportunity for people, for working families, whether it's workforce housing or affordable housing or market rate housing. There's still great opportunities here to grow the city and the county.
But this project is focused on seniors and disabled folks.
Yes, well, you just gave me a blank slate, and I'll go on and on. Yes, this project is a 15-unit project for affordable for seniors with enhanced services by the Hunter Group.
So with that, I'm going to ask Ms. Hunter to come up and talk a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Come on.
Good evening.
Can you identify yourself for the record? And your
Rebecca Hunter, the Hunter Group.
What is your business address?
45 North Finlay, York, PA.
Oh, right here in town?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So can you talk a little bit more about this project and what you're proposing and the programming that's associated with it?
This has just been a vision of mine for many years. My history is personal care and assisted living for 30 years. I own and operated personal care homes in Adams County, York County for 30 years. The vision was to create senior housing for affordable senior housing so our seniors can age in place. Our seniors are going to nursing homes way too early, and puts a burden on this on the state. So I had this idea to, create this model. So the goal is to provide supportive services so our seniors can age and stay home longer. So we take care of them in their home. So we want to set up supportive services, provide 1 meal a day, have on-site medical. And just have somebody checking in on them, to create some socialization, but also maintain an independence for them. So that was the vision, and my goal was to keep our seniors home as long as we possibly can. And so that was the goal of our withdrawal.
And what's your demographic look like? What are the ages and what kind of folks are you expecting to live here?
I'm thinking, 55 and older. And then, I mean, it just depends on the disability. They could come in possibly a little bit younger, so it just depends, but the goal is senior supportive housing.
And as part of the programming, you said you're gonna provide one full meal a day, some on-site medical care, so on and so
Yes.
forth. Do you expect to have full-time staff, or what does the staffing look like?
The model that we are trying to create is, it's an in-person, staffing and, a smart home staffing. So, because we still wanna maintain, independence, so part of, some staff will be there throughout the day depending on what the allowable waiver amounts are for each person. And then, when the staff isn't in, then they have access to a mobile, like a smart system where they will be monitored, where they can check in via,
Screen?
like a Zoom or a smart screen, yes. So, we're trying to break it up, we wanna keep workers in the facility, in the units, because it still maintains that socialization. We don't want them to feel alienated, or, they isolate, and then they're lonely, and then, that causes decline as well. So, that is the goal. So, we will have security, that is something that we definitely want, we'll have security, full time. But other than that, the staffing will come and go throughout the day. We won't have loads of staff, we'll have people going in to check, but maybe one or two, it's only 15 residents, and not everybody will avail themselves of the services.
Is it possible that you'll have couples, though, that wanna age in place?
Yes. I mean, I've gotten referrals where people, husband and wife wanna age in place together, so, I mean, they don't wanna be separated, and it breaks down the continuity of marriage or, relationship. Absolutely.
And one of the issues we heard at Planning Commission was there were concerns about parking.
Yes.
In your experience, do many of your folks drive that will occupy these residences, or do they use other services for transportation?
That's a great question. I had a 92-bed facility, and when I had a 92 residents, I had two residents that had cars. That is it. They use the rapid transit, share ride, things like that. So most of our people are declining. They can't drive, or they don't have license. So we set up transportation for them. So 8 spaces I thought was great because our residents don't drive.
And you said that your staff would be there in and out of the day, so they're not there, they don't come at 9 and leave at 5.
No,
okay.
because we're not giving full, it's not a full service, it's not a personal care home, it's not assisted living, it's independent living with supportive services. So they will be checked in on, whatever is allotted. Say they get 10 hours a week through waiver services, we will give them 10 hours a week. So you might have 1 staff person or 2 staff people in there 10 hours a week.
And your residents will be, because they're for affordable housing, they'll probably have a lower level of income that they might not be able to afford vehicles. Is that fair?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, they can't maintain a vehicle or.
Right, they
okay.
cannot.
All right. Okay. I think that's all I have for
Okay,
Ms.
thank
Hunter at this time.
Can I say
Sure.
Again, for aging in place, we will have an elevator and all the units will be accessible. So, if somebody has a disability, they can live in the unit. The cabinets will be lower, et cetera, et cetera.
So at this time, I'd like to call Mark Schurmeyer. Mark is the architect for the project, and I have a couple questions for him.
Can I just ask a question? How is this not a retirement village? Monty, how is this not a retirement village?
We didn't even look into that. When they came and brought this to the city, they sat down with everybody and they basically told us what way they wanted to go with everything. So this is the way that the staff decided to present everything, and gave everything back to them, told them what the requirements would be for them to do it. And then that's when they start making all the decisions of what variances they were going to need and everything like that.
Can I answer that? Sure. I don't, again, I know about continuing care facilities. I don't know what a retirement village is. The buildings that we've been able to develop are affordable housing, senior independent living. And so I did not want to get into something and come and promise this board something that, number one, we don't know anything about in terms of operations, and then not deliver on that.
Well, the definition of retirement village is a building or group of buildings designed to serve the housing needs of people 55 plus, which testimony has indicated this would be in a condominium of care environment through facilities which relate both to dependent and independent people. Such facilities may include independent living units, sheltered care units, nursing care facilities, and related support services. But look, apparently the city has made their determination. As long as the applicant is, desirous to move forward with this application, I suppose we can act on it tonight. Whether somebody would appeal that.
I guess the other thing I would throw out there is there could be younger folks who have disabilities that could occupy this residence as well, which I don't know that necessarily falls in, because so it's accessible, it's affordable, it could be seniors. I'll have Ms. Hunter come up to talk about what her vision is.
He's exactly right. As I previously stated, we do anticipate getting referrals for disabled who might be younger than 55. I actually have 2 units that I'm trying to get licensed to do, IDD and autism. But even there, you might have a participant who's 40, and they're dependent, but they're independent. But they're aging in place. They can't go to a nursing home. It's not a retirement village. They're doing a lot of things themselves. So, it's mixed use. It will be mixed use. So the age thing is the goal is senior living, but with supportive services. But we could possibly get people who are younger. In my personal care homes, I worked with people who started at 18 to 92. It was a mixed demographic, depending on the need of that person. So I don't see us totally locked into that age group. We just kind of it's transitional. It's a step before permanent nursing. So it's not a retirement at all.
I'm fine with moving forward. Again, the city apparently has made their determination, and again, as long as the applicant is okay with moving
We are, and arguably I think it meets the definition for a multifamily conversion as well.
That's and that's fine.
All right, Mr. Schermeyer. Can you please introduce yourself for the record and provide your place of business and address?
Yes, Mark Schermeyer, I'm president of SAA Architects, Inc., headquartered at 600 North Hartley Street, Suite 150, York, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and so I can assume you're an architect?
Yes, licensed architect in Pennsylvania and many other states.
All right. And how long have you been a practicing architect?
Practicing architect over 40 years. SAA Architects has existed over 29 years.
And how long have you been practicing in the city of York?
Approximately 20 years.
Okay. So you're pretty familiar with the city?
Yes.
Okay. So much so you also serve the city in another capacity?
Yes.
Okay, what is that capacity?
I am also a member for probably about the past 30 years, close to it, of the Historic Architectural Review Board and past chair.
All right. So are you familiar with the building at 462, 464 West Market Street?
Yes.
And the rest of Doctors Row?
Not to the degree that Mr. Williams is, but I understand the history of it and remember when some of it still functioned.
All right. So I think you're pretty familiar with this property. Can you talk about the history or experience as it relates to this property?
Yeah, the building, as I understand it, again, Mr. Williams may have more detail as to the history of it. It was at one point an auto dealership. It probably dates from the early 20th century, most likely from the 1920s era. It's hard to determine sometimes without doing an extensive research and analysis of some of these buildings because a lot of times they built on top of previous construction, so things have been changed over periods. The building is completely gutted now, at least on the first floor. The upper floors aren't accessible. The building consisted of a 3-story front section with a 1-story, about 20-foot wide link, and a 2-story rear section. The first floor was all open slab on grade, just a partial basement under part of it where the flooring has been removed, utility basement. My understanding is it served primarily as an auto dealership. You can tell from looking at the first floor that seems obvious. And then upstairs would have been support spaces, offices, storage. I think I had also heard that there were, at one point, a medical office somewhere within the building, which wouldn't have been surprising.
Do you know some history about people that have tried to develop this property as well?
Yeah, I know for a fact, probably since the RDA took it over, if not a little bit longer, going back at least 10 years, various developers, both market rate and affordable housing, have looked at this building, looked at doing a conversion project here. One of them in particular was an affordable housing developer that we work with, on multiple projects, have worked with on multiple projects. Ultimately, the numbers wouldn't work for them, and they pass it over. The building has some unique quirks to it. In a larger city, it would be a little bit higher, and it would be called a sliver building, in that it's like 33 feet wide and over 200 feet long, completely filling its site, completely landlocked. So that presents issues with development, with code issues, with all sorts of other requirements.
Okay. So do you know why those other projects, why they weren't pushed forward? Was it difficulty in development, or
A lot of
was it
it's
financial, or
A
was
lot of it's funding, and then based on a number of units you could get in the building, that kind of thing. It was difficult. Also, the deteriorating condition of the building. Over 10 years ago, and I wasn't in the building at that point, I understand the upper floors were still accessible. The staircase still existed in the front. All of that at some point had been removed and the building completely gutted. And I don't know if Mr. Nace knows a little bit more about the history of that or not.
we submitted a number of pictures to the board. Are you familiar, have you seen those?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
And board's nodding there.
All right.
Yeah, and I've been in the building on several occasions.
So do those photos fairly represent the pretty horrendous conditions?
Yeah, the roof on the center section, the one-story center section has collapsed. Okay. And then the roof has been leaking over the rear section, and it's still sound, but there are holes all through the flooring system.
All right. And based on the current condition, is there a potential for damage to adjacent properties?
I think if the building were to sit through several more winters, and who can predict, weather conditions, but if it, right now we have a situation where structural engineers tell us that the exterior walls are sound. And a lot of the beams tying those exterior walls together are sound. They need to be reinforced. There needs to be some roofing, reworking, that kind of thing. But over time, as that continues to deteriorate and water continues to leak through the roofs into the building, it will saturate those beams, and then it will become more of a hazard for the neighboring properties. And I would say at this point, it's probably a hazard from the standpoint that it is an abandoned building. It has the X on it from the fire department, which means that they will not enter it. And so, yeah, I would think it is a hazard to the neighboring properties.
And has your firm, has SAA been engaged to work on the design for demolition and reconstruction of this property?
Yes, it's rehabilitation of the property. The demolition is selective demolition, removing the deteriorated sections, reinforcing and bringing it up, what remains up to code.
All right. So I think we have the drawings up there. Perhaps you could just walk the board through what's being proposed on the board.
Okay, we can do that. Basically, and we'll start at the very bottom.
Can drawings be made for the audience
could also see them.
Well, you
Yeah,
can
we
come
can do
up,
this
but the
up on
board
the
has,
easel
the
if,
board really needs to see it.
We have the docs.
The board has the docs, so. The basement, which is not on this sheet, partial here, that will be unoccupied utility space, mechanical space. The first floor will contain a lobby with an accessible entrance that will access a new stair tower and elevator. We'll have public toilet rooms for the use of residents when they're in this floor.
You
A
should.
community room
Would you turn your
with
mic
basically a
on so
warming
it picks
kitchen.
him up?
Basically a computer station for residents, to use and to function if they don't have access to their own, and a consultation room, which is also in the front of the building. Upstairs on the first floor, we have a total of 15, or the upper floor, total of 15 apartments. They vary between efficiencies in one bedroom apartments, 11 on the second floor, 4 on the third floor. And then an elevator to access all floors. The facade of the building, the front facade will be restored and retained. There will be new compatible window sash, historically compatible with the existing windows, replacement sash for the upper 2 floors. The stained glass transoms will be restored on the first floor, and then there will be compatible storefront inserts that basically are compatible with the existing facade for the 3 bays on the ground floor. The Mason Alley facade, our Mason Avenue facade, will be rebuilt with new windows, new apartment unit windows, and that will be reconstructed out of concrete masonry and stucco, very similar to what exists there now, but it will accommodate a gated opening for parking. And I did get ahead that the first floor will have room for, in the rear, which is a bulk of the building, we'll have room for, or we'll have access for a generator, trash facilities, 8 parking spaces, some of the parking spaces accessible. And that will be an open garage. The existing steel windows that have been bricked over that existed from when it was an auto dealership garage will be reopened. Some new ones will be created. They will be lowered and enlarged so that it has cross ventilation in the building for the parking. And then upstairs, existing window units on the side of the building will be reused. There are very few, I think only 2, that need to be recreated in the existing brick wall. These are the grilled openings you see on the first floor, which are the ventilation openings, daylight openings into the garage. The building will be fully sprinklered. It will have an NFPA 13 sprinkler system, which is the commercial grade system, and that will, due to the fact that the landlocked condition of the building, working with the fire department and the codes department, we will be providing deluge sprinklers at the inside of all windows on the side of the building. So it will be an extremely safe and well fire protected facility.
So at the planning commission, there were some questions about demolition presenting some issues for the adjacent properties. Can you talk a little bit about the selective demolition process and how that would work?
Yeah, the structural engineers said the most efficient way of doing this, both cost effectively, will be basically the beam system itself is good. There are some areas where they have to add lateral bracing to bring the building up to current structural codes. Our 3 structural engineers, Nevin Laub, Dave Durst, and Evan Laub, Dave Durst, and Evan Taylor, previously worked at CS Davidson for many years. They were selected simply because they are experts, and with their expertise and years that we worked with them when they were at Davidson, they're very familiar with the aging buildings like this and the historic buildings within the city, how to bring them up to code, how to modify them, and how to address issues with them. They suggested that between the beams, which are running basically where you have all these pilasters the whole way through the length of the building, that basically sections of the deteriorated floor system be removed one section at a time. That will allow the beams to still keep the sound exterior walls together and then reinforce it, work it as a section. I will say that if this is not addressed, the building is not in imminent danger of collapse at this moment, most likely, but if that is not addressed and it's exposed to more weather conditions over many more winters, you're going to then start to affect the soundness of the exterior walls.
So also at the planning commission, there were some questions about water runoff the roof, and now it goes into the property because there's a hole in it, but where would it go after?
They will be, the roof will be sloped and they will be directed to discharge to grade through downspouts. Yeah,
that
you
will-
cannot discharge water on neighboring properties.
You can't just slough it off to then your neighbor?
You can't,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So there were also some questions raised about where garbage will be stored, and I think you addressed that a little bit, but if you
Yeah,
could
it's
point
gonna
that
be
out
in the
again.
rear, yep, inside the garage.
So, and will the elevations that are provided, knowing your history or your background here, maintain historical compliance with the standards of the city and the HARB?
Yes, absolutely. The most significant facade is the front facade. As I said, that is going to be restored. And it's in pretty good shape now as it is. It just needs, it needs some of the rotting windows and the boarded up sections and things like that removed. Any changes we make to it will be compatible. I don't see any issues with, HARB approvals on this building.
And I believe there has been a HARB application filed.
Yeah, I believe the hearing for that is a week from Thursday, this
Okay.
Thursday.
All right. So would it be in your professional opinion that because the building covers the entire lot, it's severely deteriorated condition, and it poses a potential danger to surrounding properties in the future if unaddressed, that there are unique physical conditions and circumstances regarding this peculiar property that give rise to an unnecessary hardship that would justify these variances?
Yes, there's no other way you're going to, this is a very important building, centered in a very important block. It is a narrow site. There is no way you're going to be able to reuse this building or reuse this site without variances that are proposed here. If the building did not exist there, it's going to be very difficult with codes and everything to reuse and reconstruct on the site. I can really almost say that I think that almost any developer would be challenged to make it work without combining it with surrounding properties into a much larger site and project. It just does not work in today's terms.
So it would be fair to say that there would be no possibility that the property could be developed in strict conformity with the zoning ordinance?
I would say yes.
So it would also be your opinion that regardless of what use was put here, some sort of zoning relief would probably be required?
Yes.
Absent another property owner buying it and expanding on it?
Correct.
Okay. And do you believe this hardship was self-created, or this is an existing condition that any owner would come to if they bought this?
It's an existing condition because it's a building, again, that dates to the early 20th century on a narrow lot. It was built before there were any zoning ordinances, and it was built to fill up the entire lot, which is what they did a lot of times with commercial and mixed-use properties. And it has existed for a long time, probably 100 years at least, in this condition and non-conforming with the current ordinance.
So assuming variances are granted and assuming that the project moves forward, would this restore it to a similar condition to what it was years ago and match the other beautiful buildings that are on either
Yes.
side of it and down the street?
Yeah, it will return it to a very functional building that contributes to the neighborhood, rather than a derelict, dangerous, abandoned building, leaking building now. It will be returned to a productive building.
And given your experience on the HARB, would the use of, would the grant of this variance that allows this project to go forward substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent properties? Or would it enhance those?
I think it would enhance the development of adjacent properties. I think this being a derelict property for so long in the condition it is, if it continues to deteriorate, I can't see that it doesn't affect the values of the adjacent properties now. And if it deteriorates, that's certainly not going to help the values of the adjacent properties.
Would these variances also represent the minimum relief required in the lease modification in order to get this back to a functional use?
Yes, we're preserving as much of the existing fabric, and really the most of the existing fabric that is here, and we're preserving it and restoring it and adapting it for the new use.
I think we had a quick discussion at one point where you indicated that you believe the zoning requirements are more applicable to a new build versus a revitalization or rehab project?
Yeah, and a new build on a larger site and a more suburban kind of site, especially when you consider the number of parking, parking requirements and that sort of thing.
So you've been in the city for how long?
Well, I'm a resident, I was born in York County, close to the city. I had relatives that grew up on the, my mother's family was from the west side, my father's family was from the east side. All those relatives were there, so I'm very familiar with the city and what has happened, how it's changed. You know, I've come and gone over the years. I've lived in Baltimore and Pittsburgh and out of town, but, you know, I've been back for approximately the last 30 years. But I was familiar how the city's changed from roughly 1960 and how those neighborhoods have changed.
So is it fair to say that this narrow lot, this sliver lot, as you're talking about, is fairly unique to York City as well?
I think it's unique to every urban area and neighborhood. Yeah.
All right. In your opinion, would this revitalization or rehabilitation project be completed without the variances being made?
No. There's no way that it's going to work with and anybody can make a project work with the current zoning ordinances without those variances.
I don't have any other questions for Mr. Shermeyer.
Board, any questions?
I don't have any questions. Is there anyone here in the audience?
I have some more.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I just finished with him.
Hey,
I actually have one question.
Enjoy.
Square footage is, I think I saw somewhere 7,000 square feet, somewhere around there on one of the,
I think the building is like 13.
is it 13?
Or it's 18,
huge.
but I think there's 13 that's being rehabbed for apartments.
13,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a narrow building.
Right.
Yeah.
Mark, can you speak to how large the units are? Like what's their square footage? Are they on their dimensions?
Yeah, they should be. They vary from 450 to around 700 square feet for the larger ones.
Okay. And you don't happen to be familiar with the requirements in the zoning ordinance to the size of the efficiency or the one bedroom?
I don't recall that offhand.
So the efficiencies are a minimum habitable area of 400 square feet and one bedrooms are 550. Will we meet all those requirements?
Yeah, we're larger than that. Yep.
All right. Okay, Mr. Gurney. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
All right. Joe, can you state your name, business, and business address?
My name is Joseph Gurney. I'm the Director of Land Development at First Capital Engineering. Go ahead.
Go ahead, and your profession?
I'm a registered landscape architect in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and West Virginia, and I've been in the civil and land development profession for 38 years.
Okay, and how long have you been practicing in the city of York?
18 years.
All right, so what is your role in this project?
Our firm performed the survey, deed research, and prepared the existing conditions plan.
Okay, so can you describe the lot, the size?
Sure.
Layout?
The lot is 7,451 square feet in size. It's 0.171 acres in size.
Okay, and again, we talked about this. It's 100% covered by impervious covering?
Correct. The existing building covers the entire 0.171 acres.
All right. And did you review the zoning ordinance as you prepared the plan?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you've identified a few sections of the zoning ordinance that could not be met as it stands as proposed?
Correct.
Okay. Can you please describe those variances if you can off the top of your head?
One of them, first one I've gotten written down in my notes, is units per acre. In the UN2, density is set at 24 units per acre. So when you do the math, this size property, you could only put 4.1 residential units on that property. Obviously, this is proposed for 15. Therefore, a variance of that requirement is necessary.
Okay. And in your opinion, is that ratio fair given the size of this project or with regard to the building?
No. It's a very small lot. That density is not conducive to redeveloping this property.
Okay. All right. And so I think we had a second one with regard to some parking
Sure.
spaces.
Parking requirements. Based on the units, 15, and you do the math, I believe it's 1.5 parking spaces per unit. That requires 23 parking spaces. So if you do the math, typical standard parking space in the city is 10 by 18 with a 22-foot aisle. So if you measure up all those square footages and provide 23 parking spaces with aisle to access those parking spaces, it comes out to 0.211 acres. The property's 0.171. You cannot physically put 23 parking spaces with an aisle servicing those parking spaces on this property.
And how many off-street parking spaces are on this property now?
0.
Okay, so and how
And
much?
we're proposing 8 that are secured internal to the building, as Mark described earlier.
All right. And how many, and do you want to talk a little bit about that? I think they're 2 separate variances. One's for the
Correct.
number of parking spaces and one's for the aisle width.
Correct. There's dimensional requirements, as I said. Parking depth in the city is 18 feet. The aisle width is 22 feet. You add those up, real easy, 40 feet. The property's only 33 feet wide. So in the design and with the building on there, it lessens that width to about 31 feet. So the plan that that's in your packet and Mark described, those parking spaces meet code, but the aisle is narrow. It's 13 feet wide. Obviously, it's a gated, there's a garage door. It's not a public parking area, and you need access, keyed access or fob access to get in here. So we've asked for a dimensional variance of the aisle width internal to the building, which, like I said, 22 feet is required. We're proposing 13 feet with 10 by 18 foot parking stalls. So therefore, we need a dimensional variance to the aisle width of 22 feet.
Okay. So there are a couple of special exception requirements, general criteria that maybe you can speak to.
Sure.
But it talks in here about accessibility, ingress, egress, interior circulation for pedestrian and vehicle, off-street parking, and accessibility to the streets. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Well, accessibility to the parking area is going to come from Mason, which it's access to Mason right now. I think there's a personnel door back there, and I believe there may have been a garage door back there. So access to Mason will remain. Access to Market, there's very little change to the front of the facade. Access for pedestrians to Market will remain virtually the same as it exists today. Now, we're not accessing the building for vehicles for Market. So pedestrian access will be maintained both from the alley and from Mason and Market, and then vehicular access only from Mason. So.
One of the other requirements is for serviceability, that it would have adequate utilities, water, sewer, trash, and garbage, that they're all available. I assume you've looked into that?
Yes. As part of another request we made, we reached out to York Water Company and PA American. They both gave us capacity and service letters that were submitted. There is existing electric access. It's shown on our existing conditions plan from Mason, and this building is served by obviously fire and police and all those other services that aren't really like utilities, but city services.
And I believe Mark indicated there's a spot for garbage in the parking garage. Correct. So yes, okay. You've also reviewed the zoning ordinance, and one of the requirements is we'll meet the requirements for the zoning and ordinance and with regard to the Saldo. I believe you can speak to the land dev or the Saldo plan and what's going on.
Sure. We, as was talked about earlier, we met with city staff back in July, I believe it was. As part of this application, we submitted a waiver of land development in a separate application, which got acted upon or recommended to City Council by Planning Commission earlier this week on Monday. So next Tuesday, I'll be in this room again with City Council and hopefully getting approval of our waiver of land development. Okay. So that's how that portion of the project is moving through and being processed.
And it also, another requirement is it would not add traffic congestion. I think you submitted on behalf of a firm. Or
Right.
someone submitted on behalf of a
Correct. There was
firm.
a traffic analysis prepared by John Luciani, who's a PE. John is not here, but I can speak to this, the analysis. The last known use was, I believe, some doctor's office and some residential. So what we did was we compared that traffic trip generation to the proposed 15 units. And AM, PM peak trips and PM peak trips are reduced from that last known use, which was a number of years ago, but that's the last use that was ever there and functioning. So traffic from that standpoint will be reduced from this facility. And as some folks talked about before, not many of the residents will own vehicles.
Okay. And there's a requirement that the proposed use would not create an issue with regard to public safety. I think we heard from Mr. Schirmeyer that actually it would help the situation, but in your professional opinion, would it decrease the damage to public safety or the danger to public safety?
I agree that it will be a decrease, and I agree with what Mr. Schirmeyer testified to.
And with regard to light and air, do you see this creating or impairing the adequate light and air to get to adjacent properties?
I don't think it will have any impact because the building is going to remain the same as it exists today. So
Same
there is
height.
there's zero impact.
Okay.
It's a
All right.
wash.
And in your professional opinion, you believe there'd be an undue impact on transportation, utilities, schools, park, or other public infrastructure?
I believe there will be no impact.
All right. And then there's a requirement that you not be in a floodplain. I think you've reviewed the floodplain, maybe you can.
Correct.
look at the flood map.
We are not in a 100-year floodplain, and part of the application was the FEMA map indicating that we are not within the floodplain. And I believe it's part of the application. We referenced the map, provided the map, and I can attest that we are out of the FEMA floodplain.
Okay. That's all I have for Mr. Gurney, unless anyone has any questions for him with regard to the lot.
Can you spell your last name?
Oh, sure. Gurney.
Thank you.
Mr. Nace, could we have you for a minute? Landa, can you please identify yourself for the board? I assume they all know you, but we'll have you go again.
Good evening, I'm Blanda Nace, it's BLANDA NACE.
And Blanda, you did provide, I believe, a letter to the VFW group with regard to this project on behalf of the RDA, is that correct?
Yes, and we are also selling it to them, so we are in favor, obviously.
All right, so let's start here. What's your history, what's your knowledge of the history of this property, perhaps since the RDA bought it, and why, and so on and so forth?
From what I was able to find, it was an eminent domain taking for a blighted property. About 2011, 2012, 2013 is when the RDA acquired it. I was able to go backwards in some of our records. Just in my due diligence, I've been with the city now 6 years in the RDA role, and just trying to find, we have a few of these behemoth properties that are the thorn in my side since I started on day one. This was probably one of the most challenging ones. And I did find a couple starts and stops. I think we mentioned Jan was here once before. There was another builder once before. It's been under agreement several times with the RDA, but no one could ever either, one, make the numbers work or have enough funds to make it function.
And they've all fallen through?
Yes.
Okay. So in May of 2024, you provided a letter to the VFW group that says that this project will hit 6 of the 9 York Strategic Comprehensive Plan 2030s goals. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. When you look at the issues that were raised in the previous the existing comprehensive plan, obviously we're trying to get a new one approved, but this meets almost every single goal of the city from continuing.
So it's fair to say the RDA is strongly in support of this project?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Thank you, Brandon.
Absolutely.
All right. There are just a couple of comments I'd like to make before anyone will come up. One, your solicitor can talk to you about this. Dimensional variances under the Hertzberg decision out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Supreme Court puts a lesser burden on requirements for dimensional variances, which the three dimensional variances we're asking are dimensional in nature. I believe that in that case, it allows you to consider the financial inability to develop a property to be taken into account as it relates to the hardship requirements. So we believe that we've met that pretty clearly. This property is in deplorable condition. It's blighted, it's an eyesore, and most everybody wants to take this off the record, so to speak, and put it back into thriving use. There are some other requirements with regard to the special exception. Landon just addressed it. This is consistent with the city's development objectives. He hit all the good ones. Interestingly enough, in the UN2 district, it's to allow for the revitalization of diverse and compact pedestrian-oriented neighborhoods reminiscent of traditional neighborhoods, including medium and high-density residential uses. That almost defines our project. It will allow for neighborhood revitalization. Check. Opportunities for affordable housing for households of all income levels. Check. It meets one of those requirements. Efficient use of the land, putting it back into use that's not currently in use, that's blighted, a drag on the tax base, everything else. And then preservation of historic and architectural integrity. You've heard from an architect who's on the HARB, who's doing the work to make sure that this meets the historical and architectural review requirements.
So, Mr. Judge, just real quick, just to be clear, Mr. Schermeyer, you're appearing on your professional behalf, not as a member of in any representative capacity of Harvard.
That's fair.
Is that right? Okay, thank you.
It's also, one of the requirements is in the best interest of properties in general and in the community at large. Again, given its relationship in the middle of the block, that it's been boarded up and blighted for so long, we believe it would give a boost to the neighborhood. It would help encourage the values and encourage the development of adjacent properties and hopefully have them in better condition. And it's also suitable for the property in question that's designed and constructed and operated and maintained suitably for the anticipated activity and population served. So it is ironic that this property is on Doctors Row, as Mr. Williams said, where medical and dental offices were maintained. This project is designed and intended to be operated to provide accessible living quarters for disabled and seniors. So again, we're trying to go back to the historical use of this area to a different kind of care, to have hot meals, one hot meal a day, to have in-home medical care, exercise and wellness programs being offered. So again, it's kind of going back or hearkening back to history. So with that, I'll sit down and let everyone else talk.
Is there anyone else that's in the gallery that has anything to say to the case? Could you step to the podium, please? State your name.
My name is Kelly Adams, ADAMS, and I live at 458. My wife and I live at 458 West Market Street. If we could I touch your drawings, Schermeyer? So we live right here. Okay. And actually, the neighbors who live here and here are also in the audience. I'm not speaking for them. I'm just speaking for myself. But that's our proximity to the building. I think it's clear that anyone who has an interest in this neighborhood has an interest in that building because it stands out as described, blighted, rundown, decrepit property in the midst of what is still a strong residential community within the city of York. And we're proud to be there. We've been there for 6 years, and it's a wonderful place to live. We do have some concerns about the project, primarily with the parking. Those of you who are familiar with the area know that many times during the day, during the weekend, there is no on-street parking available. We come home from shopping or going out to dinner, and there will be no parking available on West Market Street on that block. Even though the developers do not believe that this building will add to any parking problems on the block, there still will be a possibility of 30 people living in the building. I'm within the target range. I drive a car. Many of my friends who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s drive cars. To say that this generation is dependent primarily on public transportation or other methods of getting around is not necessarily true. I wouldn't count on that representation. We believe that this will add to the parking congestion in the area and will make it more difficult for those people who currently live there. I have a question about the term of affordable housing. Have you priced the apartments yet?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
The apartments are priced from $800 to $1,200 a month. However, because they're affordable, people cannot pay more than 30% of their income to live in the apartment. So if you make $1,000 a month, you will pay $300. We are working with the Housing Authority to get project-based vouchers, and then also we're working with different agencies that may come up, depending on if someone has a disability or someone's on fixed income, to work out the rent for the apartments. However, because they're affordable, you cannot pay more than 30%. You cannot be housing burdened to live there.
Okay. Will you accept Section 8?
We may. Well, again, just to let you know, we have a $1.6 million allocation from the city through ARPA, which is a federal grant. We cannot discriminate against anybody.
Okay. So it's not necessarily senior housing, and it could be considered subsidized housing rather than just affordable housing. It's not market rate housing. Will be subsidized, correct?
If someone makes less than 60% of the median area income in the city of York, they can live in the housing.
Okay. Another question that presented itself to us as we were here at the planning meeting 3 nights ago, is that the planning staff recommended that all the variances be denied. You can see that in the notes from the meeting. Why do you have a professional staff, if their recommendations are just denied? They must have denied those recommendations. They must have denied those requests for a reason.
May I address that, please? I asked that question to the staff, and they said simply because it is not permitted under the ordinance. They did no analysis as to why they're denying. They simply say, you shouldn't grant them because they're not allowed. They did no further analysis on that, so there's no way to address that analysis in any way, shape, or form.
Well, then why do you have this isn't the planning board. Why do they have a staff? I mean, a planning staff is supposed to provide professional input to the lay people who are on the board.
Can I address that? In most cities in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the reason why you have a zoning board is because the building as it exists is not in conformance with the request. And so normally there's a denial, and based on that denial, we can then come to the zoning board for a variance. So normally in every municipality in the state of Pennsylvania, every zoning request is denied by staff or denied initially, or they send you a letter saying that this is denied. Once you have that letter, you now have permission, in essence, to go to the zoning board for an appeal, which is this process, the legitimate process.
Be that as it may, I think I have a legitimate question. Mr. Williams, you didn't mention that this property was once the Donald Hoke Furniture Store. Do you recall that?
I'm sorry, could you?
That property was once a furniture store before it was a fine furniture store that was filled from front to back with.
That I did not know, but after Dr. Worthwine left, which was about 1997 or 98, because that's when I moved in from the farm, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be able to walk a block down the street to a respected family practice, not knowing that he was packing up to move to Bannister Street in West York. And
The furniture store was there prior to the
doctor's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a beautiful store.
And then you likely recall that after Yorktown Family Medicine moved out, pretty soon after that, some sort of electronics repair service moved in. I don't think they were there more than 2 or 3 years. So that, these short-term uses, or at least the electronics repair was short-term. But let me tell you what I figured out about the staff recommendation and our efforts. We're both doing our jobs. Their job is to make sure that everybody knows exactly what the zoning ordinance says. And they are doing their job well. Our job is to decide whether there are unique characteristics about a property that make it unreasonable to strictly apply the zoning ordinance. And we work hard at our job too.
Oh, I know you do. When I ran a business, if my staff recommended that we don't do anything, I would at least think 3 times about going ahead. I think that's all of the questions I have. Again, I did have one other question, Mr. Schermeyer. So my backyard looks on this side of the building. Currently, with the exception of the one-story connection, both of these buildings are the same height.
No,
Are they not?
No, they're not. No, I've been in there, no. It's a 2-story rear, there's a 1-story connector, because the first floor went the whole way through, and a 3-story front.
3-story front?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the photos bear that out, I think, in your
packages. All right, because I was wondering why you weren't utilizing that space. But
No,
if it doesn't exist, you can use it.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, that's all I had, but I do wish you'd give this close consideration. I do think that there may be solutions to the parking situation that could be addressed by acquiring surface parking on Mason Avenue. There are a number of garages back there that are not utilized, that are underutilized, or numbers of parking areas in that block in the alley that are not utilized, that are underutilized. I do think that, again, given this population, there will be caregivers who will be involved, perhaps coming in and, visiting nurses, coming in and visiting. They'll need places to park. It's not as simple as, you know, old people don't drive. Thank you very much.
Mr. Adams, let me stay out there. So I heard you on Monday.
Yeah.
So I walked up there today at lunchtime. Took some pictures.
I didn't talk about lunchtime.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, you
No.
said during the day there
I
was
said-
no parking. I'd like to put this in as applicants one.
I said when I come home from dinner, didn't I? I come home from shopping, it's in the evening.
Yeah, I don't know when you
Evening.
shop, but I just,
We
one
went-
one at a time.
Yep. Yes, and, yeah, during the middle of the day,
And the care, and you heard testimony that the caregivers were coming during the day.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I did,
So there's plenty of parking out in front of that property.
during the day,
Okay.
during the day, yes, thank you.
Yes, both of you are right. I just about promise you that when we leave this meeting and if we drove out West Market Street, it would be parked solid. And during the day, people are either at work or some people move their cars to a side street because they don't want to pay to park in front of the house.
And Mr.
So,
Williams, I will challenge you. Show me somewhere where a single-family residence doesn't have problems finding parking in the evening.
yeah.
Okay, just counterpoint, that's all.
So can I say something, Madam Chair? And Mr. Williams, I want to sit at your feet one day so I can learn. Couple of things. Number one is, and to Mr. Adams? Yes, sir. Mr. Adams and to this board, we are opening a 49-unit project, similar project in Harrisburg, a much bigger project. And when I went to the city of Harrisburg, city council said, not over my dead body, you have to find parking. Let me give you the facts. The building is built. We're opening it on the 29th of this month. I will send, if you'll give me the information, I will send you an invitation. You can come and look at the building yourself. A $19 million, 49-unit building. We rented from the state. The state had a parking lot across the street. We rented 16 spaces. The building is now filled, senior building, affordable.
We're on an hour of time here. I'm not sure the relevance of a building in Harrisburg. If we could get to the relevance pretty quick.
I'm just saying that the 16 units, the 16 parking spaces we rented, we can't fill them because most of the seniors do not have cars. The average age of affordable senior, the average age of a senior living in affordable housing is over 80 years old. And so those are the stats that we're looking at. We provided 32% parking in Harrisburg. Here we're providing 53% parking based on the parking spaces and the number of units. And Mr. Williams and Mr. Adams, we would love for you to come afterwards to see if those 8 parking spaces will be filled. I will bet $1 that they will not be.
Is there anyone else in the gallery? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry?
Would you be able to swear me in? I didn't.
Yes, if you come to the podium.
Thank you.
Lift your dominant hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you? If so, respond by saying I do.
I do. Thank you.
Could you state your name and spell it for me, please?
Diana Harris Epps, EPPS. My husband and I reside next door to where this building is. We're the immediately next door. So the 8 parking spots that they're describing, I don't know if you quite understand, is this area here is my backyard. Not my backyard. There are 3 trees. From me to you is my backyard. You are now going to be a gate, which will allow the 8 cars, fictitious or otherwise, exhaust to come into my backyard. This is my bedroom. So the 8 cars, because they're gonna open the space up, the exhaust will now come into my bedroom. Not a fictitious bedroom, but my bedroom. So I understand where the storefront is, but our living space is here. My kitchen window is here, and this space here is my office. And below that is my pantry, where all my fresh vegetables, all my food items would be. With, between you and I is the exhaust from those cars. And so I understand they're gonna open up some pre-existing spaces on the ground level into my backyard where I mow grass. And so in order to facilitate the airing out of these parking spaces, I presume I'll need to erect a series of trees as well as a privacy fence in some way to lessen the additional exhaust that's going to come to my home. Now, I don't know if that's of any concern to any of you, but it would be kind of a concern to me, since this here, which they're not showing, and I'll right along here, as you can see, that space there is what you would call a Louisiana French porch. So there's a porch.
Let the record reflect that she's pointing to the area which is
Empty.
where, close to the area where it is labeled break room on the plans from SSA or SAA Architects.
So this space is a porch. So the porch, bedroom, kitchen, office, and that's in close proximity to what the necessity of having the airing out of the car exhaust. And so our concern essentially would be just a few things, not many, which I'm sure we'd be able to work out, would be, you know, the idea of having rodents in parking areas, the additional exhaust, and then, you know, any issues there would be with us putting up a privacy fence and trees along that wall. Because currently there's a cement wall, a brick wall that goes all the way up. And so when you are looking at the house here, it's just a complete cement and bricks. And so these gratings, we will then of course erect, or rather here, you know, a privacy fence and trees. And to whatever extent it negatively impacts the ability to air out their garage, someone's gonna have to get somewhere, so I'm not sure. So that was the concern about that. With regard to the parking situation, it really depends on any given day with regard to the parking. There are days where there are no cars there at all, as with anybody else. And there are days where there are many cars. We're coming from an area where, you know, I just want to be able to pull into the garage and walk through my garden into my home. I'm not using street parking. But there are times when there is no street parking during the day, but I can't tell you that my family would be terribly impacted by that. My question, however, would be for the project, because it's considered low income and the primary builder keeps confusing this with a project where age is not a factor. My question would be, if they're going to be accepting Section 8 vouchers, how frequently will the Section 8 vouchers include families with small children?
So I want to steer clear of discussion about subsidized housing. There's subsidized housing rules and regulations that are protected by federal law, and I don't want us to run afoul of those.
No, I understand that, but my concern is that there are one bedroom and some efficiencies, and the way in which it was described to us was supposed to be for an elderly population, which would then also obviously include anyone who has a disability as well, and then it could be a couple.
Again, we're going to be very careful about talking about age, disability, socioeconomic. These are all items that are protected under the Fair Housing Act.
And I would just note again that the way in which the project was described to us was for a specific population. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because depending upon the actual demographic of the individuals who actually have the ability and meet the criteria of this property, it could actually ultimately impact the issue with regard to the issues of parking, whereas if this was confined to the population as described in the initial documentation provided to us, it may not. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about a certain population, certain age group, not having vehicles. That age group and population is very gray now after the representations. And so I'm just trying to say that the project people themselves and their description of who we might have as neighbors might actually impact the parking situation. But I did want to just express that the ventilation issue will be impacting the immediate yard next to that building. But thank you, we welcome new neighbors, and thank you very much.
What's your name again? I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. It's Blanda, B-L-A-N-D-A, Nace, N-A-C-E. I just wanted to briefly make one quick comment, hopefully quick. I know it's running long. The RDA partnered with Rebecca Hunter and her son Xavier. There he is. Early on, when they came to us looking for a property to redevelop to provide personal care services. And at the same time, ironically, BFW, Blaine and Ryan, Ryan's not here, they approached us looking for a great project in York. And they're actually, for the story I recall, is they did a lot of work in the Philadelphia shipyards, and they do a lot of work with minority contractors. And that's something that we really needed here in York. And I love everything that Blaine and Ryan are doing in Harrisburg, and all around the mid-state. So we found when Rebecca and Xavier were having, hitting some walls trying to figure out how do I handle such a large project. My staff member and myself, we thought, well, let's see if we can partner these people together. Here's someone looking for a project. Here's someone looking for some assistance. So I'm sure at times they blamed me for making the connection between the two of them. But we were able to marry together as something that was really a very positive moment. Fast forward maybe a year or so, and the city of York was awarded, as we talked about, as federal ARPA dollars, that we got this $35 million. Separate from that, and this is a different funding stream, HUD, Housing and Urban Development, has a home program. And we've done that to do large housing projects. The city has funded home projects. So this is actually funded now through a grant process and application process. The city awarded $1.6 million to this project for home funding. That home funding, and to your point, will have a 20-year covenant on it. So restricting the use of this. I know at Planning Commission, there was talk about potential college kids moving in, or could this become private? But that's $1.6 million subsidy. And I know you don't want to talk about finances, and you shouldn't, but just know that there will be a covenant on this property for 20 years that has to follow the guidelines related to homelessness prevention is the big picture on this HUD money that came through HUD Home. It's called Home ARPA, because it was funded under the same federal bill, but it does have very stringent regulations to it. So when all of these three things came together, and when we try to think about what would you do with a property so large, and parking was a consideration, because Kelly, I assume your wife does not drive. Or any of your tenants in your multifamily building? Own your 3-car garage? So that there are things like that every situation is completely different, where you think you may be impacted, but when we have elderly, low-income individuals, the likelihood of parking, really, we don't see as a problem either. Just wanted to add on those little tidbits. Thank you.
Just one question for you, Mr. Neef. There was mention before about the taxes, and this property has been basically off the books for how long? How does this affect will the city now actually generate some revenue from this?
Yeah, but this project will be eligible for our city's RETAP program. So it will generate property taxes. There's an initial assessed value of the property, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it is off the top of my head right now. But as in any project, not just this project, they can apply for a RETAP program, for residential tax abatement program. So their city taxes don't go up for 10 years.
Right.
Year 11, they get hit with 100% of the new value of the delta. The county and school district taxes will go up 10% per year over those 10 years. So yes, it will impact the taxes, but yes, admittedly, it's on a delay. And that's to encourage developers to, invest more money, and sometimes they need that. So it's what we can do to offer as an incentive without any cash out of pocket.
In reality, that program would be taken advantage of by almost anybody who'd buy that property.
Every savvy developer, and even we encourage people to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
We
makes
encourage
sense.
people to
Yeah.
add on to their house and take advantage of this and not pay more taxes.
Yeah, okay. All right, appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions up here by the board?
Is there any rebuttal on the exhaust issue?
Well, I don't think it's any different than having your front door next to West Market Street. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's a property that's 200 foot long, and if you want off-street parking, it's got to go somewhere. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, if it were an empty space, if it were a parking lot, it would be, and if you want 23 spaces, you're going to get a lot more exhaust than you will on 8 cars. So that's my thought, and to be honest, that requirement is not in your zoning ordinance. I mean, it's a little bit in the special exception, but I don't think it's going to change the air quality overall.
Sir, were you going to step forward? Sir, were you going to step forward?
No, someone was in my ear, so I didn't quite hear if the comment was the 8 cars impacting the air quality. Was that the sentiment of the last comment?
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess the only thing I can say is currently
Right now, there are no cars affecting my little area. So to say that the addition of 1 car or 2 cars or 8 wouldn't affect the air quality, I find to be somewhat of a falsehood, because we're going from none to potentially either none or just a few.
I think you
And so-
misunderstood my comment.
So that's all. But I just wanted.
Okay.
There is a requirement that there be off-street parking spaces, so whoever developed that property would have to put some cars on, whether it be 8, 1, whatever. There would be at least 2. If it was a single family, you get at least 2 there. That's the requirement.
Okay. Sir, were you going to step forward?
Thank you very much. First thing I want to address is that I'm really,
State your name.
oh,
first.
my name, oh, I'm sorry, Lee Zuckerman, Zuckerman. Got it?
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for their attention to all this. Just to give you an update, I've been there 41 years at 466 West Market, which means that property adjoins my property. So it affects me more than Mrs. Epps or anybody else. The only thing everybody has addressed the issue with, are there going to be 15 people in the units, or 30 people, or 40 people? If it's 15 people, we may have a deal. More than that, you're just opening the whole thing up to future problems in the area. The area right now is overcapacitated with, between, you just heard it, with group housing, cars. They haven't come to any of us, okay, who have joined the property or on what they plan on doing. I just heard about all this last week, and I was told that the zoning board heard about this in September. Then I was told, no, the notice you got was wrong. So we're starting off to a bad start when you're getting a notice that's wrong. I feel that the developers should have, and the city, should have contacted myself and all the other neighbors with what was being planned.
Sir, did you get notice of the hearing? You did?
Yes, he did. All of them got notice.
I got a wrong notice.
You might have got a wrong notice, but then it got corrected and sent right back out, and y'all all received that too because it was done over 2 weeks ago.
Well, I just received it over the weekend.
Well, I don't have anything to do with the mail service, but I know it was mailed out over 2 weeks ago.
But what I'm saying is there was an error. Is that correct?
Yes.
My whole thing is I think this whole deal should be put on hold, okay, until further details to everybody concerned can be addressed. And everybody understands how we're moving forward. Parking, is no parking, right? When Dr. Worthwine and Mulligan, they had 4 spaces in the garage area, and they had a problem because there was no maneuverability, okay, inside the garage, right? To either exit, it was very difficult to exit and enter. You add another 4 cars, you still have the same thing. They're talking about elderly people not driving. I'm standing here today in front of you, right, because I threatened my mother at the age of 95, right? If she didn't stop driving, right, I'd be dead from a heart attack or a stroke. So anyway, so that's an issue that to me is void. Everybody's addressed this issue
So
very well.
I don't want to cut anybody off, but it is within the board's discretion to limit repetitive testimony. So if to your point that everybody has addressed it, if we're just going to continue to readdress the same issues that have been already expressed, it is in the board's discretion to sort of limit that.
Okay. Well, okay, then that's why my only other question is, how much money are they planning on spending on this project? Right?
I don't really think that's relevant to our.
Is that relevant? Okay, then it isn't relevant. But I just think everything should be put on hold until all concerns are addressed to the residents and to the people of York, in the area. So everybody else is addressed it. And you were there at 12:43 this afternoon.
So I'm curious, did you go and talk to everybody for 476 West Market Street?
What?
Did you knock on everyone's door for 476 West Market Street since you own it?
I don't understand your question.
Well, you're saying that the residents, we didn't address all the residents, you own property at 476 West Market Street that just got zoning approval tonight.
Yes,
Did you go knock at everyone's door? Did you address all their concerns?
that wasn't my.
Mr. Jones, that's related to a separate case.
Yeah,
that's not related to this case.
Okay.
So
We're
let's
going
move
to
on.
stop the questions right there. I believe everyone in the gallery has had their opportune time to come to the microphone and speak. We are now going to shut that down, and it's time for our board to deliberate up here, and if we have any further questions.
I don't have a question. I think would like to make a general comment, if that's okay. Not that I would expect any of the residents to respond who spoke here this evening, but I mean, it seems to me the alternative to this project not going forward would be a continued blighted, unsightly property. So I mean, I hear the residents' concerns, but at the same time, trying to balance and weigh between, well, do we move forward and give this project a chance at, bringing something back under the tax rules, bringing something back to the neighborhood, or do we continue to have, again, a blighted, dangerous property? And
Can I just say one thing, if there's.
Ma'am, I did shut down the questions and
No,
comments.
it's not, it's just one thing. I mean, I think when people sometimes there and us hear all this is for us to be able to voice. It doesn't mean it's adversarial.
no,
in any way.
absolutely.
It doesn't even mean that any of us particularly disagree with the project. But part of what we do in this country is being able to be in a safe space, be respected and voice our opinion. I have no animus towards any of them, but I would be doing disservice to them or anyone else if I didn't express my thoughts. And so I just want, we are all welcoming everything, but it is appropriate for us to be able to express our opinion.
Absolutely.
No.
I just want to say I really appreciate that comment, Ms. Epps. I say it all the time in this room, just be a good neighbor. Like, if we get that out of the way, we're doing all right. So if you guys move in, listen to the neighbors, see what they have to say, and try to work with them on what they're trying to accomplish, since they've been there for a very long time. It sounds like a great project to me. It sounds like a great way to get this property back on the books and out of a state of disrepair. And I appreciate you guys putting your heads together and making something happen where nothing happens very often. So thanks everyone for coming out. Really appreciate the community being involved too.
Franklin, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, several times I walked around Michael's backyard. And by the way, I forget your name, the nice lady in the very back who has spoken a couple of times. She and her husband now own and live in the home of our former chair, Michael Miller. And I live just up in the next block and used to walk down to Market, and I would see Michael up working out in his backyard. He and I shared a real love of flowers, and I would get a tour around. And he not only had a green thumb, he had an impressive knowledge of nomenclature. He knew exactly what every flower was in his backyard. And all of this was in the shadow of this huge deteriorating building. And I wish he could see what we have within reach here now. Maybe he can. What do I know? But you know, they're really, I mentioned if we drove up Market Street at this time of the evening, it would be parked pretty solid. If we drove up Mason Avenue or Alley, we would pass umpteen empty parking spaces. In the western half of the block, more so than the eastern half, there are large open spaces of parking. And I have a hunch that there's possibly a handful of cars back there. But, you know, it's easier for me, and I'll be old someday. Thanks for laughing. I have a parking permit to park on the street because it's 10 feet from my, usually I can park within 10 or 20 feet of my front door, compared to a 150-foot walk back through my backyard if I parked in my parking pad back there. So it's partly a matter of convenience. We've had cases from other neighborhoods where people complained about the street was so full of cars parked, but they used their garage for storage. I share the experience of the neighbors. I live one block up. I share your concerns, but if I ask myself sometimes, how would I feel about a case before us? How would I feel about what is proposed if it was next door to me? Now, this is not next door, it's a block away. But the thought of living next to that building, should it continue to deteriorate, I think would move me much more than almost any other concern. And I thought maybe I was exaggerating when I thought earlier today, yeah, but that building's days are numbered unless something unless there's an intervention. And I thought maybe I'm exaggerating, but we had expert testimony that that is not greatly exaggerated. And so if some way could be found for, you know, we approved a conversion from single family to 2 units right in this area that we're talking about that had 12 off-street parking spaces in the back. They were only required under the ordinance to have 3. And I bet there are hardly ever more than 3 or 4 cars parked in that space. Would it be 50 or 60 feet from this property that we're in the case? No, it would probably be a little further than that, but a lot of people, my point is that there is parking available in the area. I guess that's, what would Michael do? What would Michael do? I can't say, but I think I might know. Thank you.
Do you have?
I just have a comment as a York resident. I live on East Market, and I kind of went through some of the tribulations that you're feeling right now from the neighborhood when the insurance building right next to the Historic Society was being converted into an apartment building. Same thing. This board gave discounted parking spaces so the building could be built. And as a resident that lives pretty much 4 doors right down the street from the place, I was worried about parking too. It really hasn't been an issue. I'll say that right up front. The Historic Society's building's up for sale. Same thing. So our whole area is for sale, okay, if you want to look at it that way. A lot of places are for sale. And we're having some issues right now where the school board wants to move in there, and this board kind of has approved it, but there's a fight in the courts for it right now. My point is, the city is under revitalization, okay? It has to move forward. The buildings need to be modernized or they're gonna collapse. And I think this is the condition of this building right now. So if it doesn't get something done to it, as has been mentioned in testimony tonight, 3 or 4 or 5, whatever years of winter in that building, it's gonna collapse and hurt people or do some damage to your own properties that you live right next door. So as a person that lives on Market Street that has Mason right behind me, Avenue, I know what you're talking about, but I feel that the city has a right and a purpose to say we need to do something with these dilapidating buildings. And I hear your concerns for parking, I hear your concerns for the smog, but I think that as one of the board members mentioned here, be a good neighbor and work with each other and things will get better. I was concerned about the apartment building that's right down the street. It's going okay, I'll say that. And the neighborhood is not falling apart. It's actually gotten a little better since that apartment building showed up. So, thank you. All good. I'm gonna do it.
I do it if I know what I was doing, but you guys go ahead if you've got it. It's a,
So I'll be honest with you, if you don't wanna worry about the section numbers, basically what you would be doing is making a variance to, if you wanted to approve it, it would be a variance to approve a multifamily conversion from a different use to permit up to 8 efficiency and 7 one-bedroom apartments.
So moved.
Second. Okay, so it has been moved to be approved by Adam and second by Franklin. Calling for the vote, Blade,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Cena, aye.
And now, just to confirm with the applicant, variance number 2 and number 3, we've determined are inapplicable, is that right?
No, they would be required, it's number one, I believe. The impervious surface and open space.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking, I apologize. I'm looking at the variance review, not at the agenda. Let me see the agenda. I don't have agenda in front of me.
I'm sorry, it is number two for impervious surface and open
Yeah.
space, you're correct.
So we're skipping impervious surface and open space, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then it would get to variance number 4, which would be a motion to approve a variance to the required off-street parking spaces to specify that the number of required parking spaces would be reduced to, how many? 8.
And is a different for this, there's a spatial variance too, right?
And, okay, and I'm fine with taking that as a singular
That's
motion,
one.
and to also approve the dimensional variance requested related to parking space size.
So moved.
A second. It's been moved by Adam, second by Cena. Calling for the vote, Blade,
No.
Adam,
Aye.
Franklin,
I swore a while back I would never vote to reduce the size of parking spaces, but I guess it's worse. Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Cena, aye. The ayes have it.
And then the final motion would be a motion to approve a special exception to permit a multifamily dwelling conversion from a different use in the UN2 zoning district.
Also moved.
Second.
It's been moved to be approved by Adam, second by Franklin. Calling for the vote, Blade,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Cena, aye. Ayes have it.
I believe there's a units per acre variance as well.
That was the first one that we took, because that addresses that number of units, it permit.
It's just a different number from the variance requested. The code section is different in there from the code section.
Okay, are you okay if we just clarify that the first motion was to
If
address
that's what was intended, that's what goes in the
Yeah.
minutes and decision.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.